Alright guys, sorry about that. We're going to try that again with a different service. I was trying to do my wireless, and yesterday I was going through the live feed I did, and I just didn't like the way it looked. The quality wasn't that good. So tonight I was going to try something different. So we're going to do this whole thing live tonight, just on my data on my phone. Hopefully that works out, and that's just fine the way that is too. So let's start all over again. Hope everybody's having a fantastic night out there on the internet land. Yesterday was session 1. I went over the basics on holding a call, presenting the air to a call, your mouth cavity, your tongue position. Basically, to get you guys to get the buzz sound, this sound right here. If you can remember from yesterday, or if you haven't watched yesterday's yet, you can still watch it. But I talked about the tongue, the tip of your tongue being anchored right here. Tip of your tongue doesn't move, no matter what. Arches up, and the air comes over the top of it, right? So yesterday, I talked about your tongue being like this, slowly pushing air, making it your air cavity smaller, pushing your tongue forward to get that buzz sound. So today, what we're going to cover is the cluck. So all you do to make that cluck is you're going to push a little more air, and you're going to push that tongue and touch it to the top of your mouth, to your soft palate right here. So in the back of the call, where'd my little fancy pointer go? Oh, my pencil. So in the back of the call, it's like this. And what makes the note sharp is the air cutting off. And right here at the top, you can see here on the drawing, but right here on the top, my tongue touches my soft palate. That cuts off the air coming up from my diaphragm. So it's... Now, a lot of guys talk about reference words when calling. I can't really use a word. The problem is if you use words like who-wit, to-wit, the tip of your tongue's got to kind of come up. You don't want the tip of your tongue to move, just like I covered yesterday. The tip of your tongue stays anchored. But like I told you, you're going to use the front edge of your tongue. You're still going to use the front edge, but not the actual tip. So the best reference word I can give you, it's not even a word, but it would be ooch. To be, I don't know how to spell it. If you were to spell it, I wrote it down as U-U-T-S-H. Ooch, 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 ooch. Okay, you want to use your voice, use your natural voice. You don't have to really growl into the call. Because if your mouth cavity's right, everything we covered yesterday, if your tongue position's right and your mouth cavity's correct, that note is already going to have the buzz to it. And in order for that reed to break over and pop in the tone channel, it's just a little more air and your tongue touches your soft palate. Ooh, wrong call. Okay, now, yeah, obviously it sounds like crap, but I want you guys to understand and feel where that breaking point is for the call to break over. Now, going back a little bit, the cluck. There's not a million, but there's dozens of different renditions, variations of the cluck. The cluck can be high-pitched, low-pitched, fast, slow. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways the cluck is used by real geese. And, of course, us as hunters, we're trying to replicate those real geese. So I'm going to talk a little bit about different styles of clucks, fast, slow, when to use them, when not to use them. I want you guys to stay basic. This is all going to be muscle memory. I've compared it before as like a baseball player. He hits that ball so many times out of the pitching machine, he knows when that ball's coming. Okay, it's just boom. It's muscle memory every time. It can be that way with a lot of different sports. Anything you might do with muscle memory, but your tongue is a muscle. So your tongue is going to get used to when the reed breaks over. It's going to, the more you do it, you got to go slow. Yes, it takes practice. It takes a lot of time. But you got to walk way before you can jog, way before you can run. So a lot of guys think they have a cluck and they start going fast or think they can go fast, all they do is mess the call up. Sounds ridiculous, and it doesn't sound like an actual goose. So remember, with all this, we're still on step 2, all right? So this is going slow, keeping it basic, figuring out when that reed breaks over. Figure out your call, no matter what call you might have, whether it's a next-gen series like I'm using here, I'm using a Big Kahuna, or if it's one of our acrylics or whatever it is, if it's a totally different call. Figure out your call. Every call will be a little bit different. Figure out that breaking point. Figure out what works for you. Also, everybody's mouth cavity is going to be a little bit different here. So my tongue goes up this way, and it stops this part of my mouth up front. Maybe for you, it's back here a little further when you make it break over. It really doesn't matter as long as you realize each time where that point is, and then your tongue is in the right place, and then it's muscle memory. You start remembering and thinking exactly, what's going on. Then every time you pick the call up, you can be consistent. Every time. It's muscle memory. Okay? So, real quick, let's do a couple audio things here. I'm going to play clucks for you. Like I told you, there's high clucks, there's low clucks. This is just a standard. Okay, listen to that again. Just a steady cluck. Okay, that's goose tempo. You can tell that the rhythm is very goosey. It's okay, that's a cluck. I keep grabbing the wrong call. It's not like it really matters, but so that's a cluck. It can be used a million different ways. It can, I keep saying a million, probably not a million. It can show dominance. It can show a relaxed goose. It all depends on how the goose is doing it, if it's high-pitched or low-pitched, the actual body position of the goose that's doing it, and us as callers, if we're doing it fast and loud, it's going to show an aggressive, dominant bird. If it's slow, it's going to be a more relaxed bird. So here is a quick sound file. The sound files aren't the best, but here's a super fast, rapid cluck. Now this is something totally different. Listen. Coming up. Hear that bird in the background? There's another one moaning too, but listen to that high cluck in the background. Just so you guys can hear, there's a lot of different renditions of a cluck. That is high pitch and fast. So here's a Mr. Big next gen. There's a lot of, but that's still a cluck. Either way you look at it, the main vocabulary of a Canada goose, it's the cluck, man. And that's straight up what it is all the time. It's the cluck. So, again, let me find my fancy little pointer again. Where did my colored pencil go all the time? All right, so it's very important talking about the mouth cavity. Like I told you guys yesterday, this spot right here, this is the most important area, everything to work on when you're trying to learn how to blow a short reed or trying to learn how to do that cluck or any other note we talk about. But your tongue is flat, tip of your tongue's anchored right down here at your gums. That's where mine is. Mine's right down where my gums start to where my teeth are. Some people, their tip might be up here, but you got to have an anchor point for the tip of that tongue, all right? So your air comes over your tongue, back of the call, it's air's coming up from your diaphragm all the way up into the call. Okay? Now to get that buzz that we were working on yesterday, you slowly start arching your tongue forward and up, reaching your soft palate. Okay, so now you're about in position about 4, I'd say, right through here is where your tongue's at. To get it to break over, you push a little bit more air, and you cut off the air right here with your soft palate. So your tongue goes, it's really hard to show. I'm doing the best I can to show you. I'm not an artist, but your palate's like this, so your tongue's ah, 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 ah. Okay? So when that hits there, your soft palate, that's when the air stops. That's when the reed breaks. Okay? And you can go sloppy for a while just to make sure that you're understanding where the reed's going to break over, its breaking point. Okay? My tongue's going from position 2 to 3 right here. It's all it's moving. Okay? Back of the call, it's like this. And like I said, if you want to try to use a reference word, best thing to say is U-U-T-S-H. It's not really a word. It's ooch, 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 ooch. Use your voice just like we're talking. You don't have to really growl into the call. Ooch, ooch, ooch. And you can hear that T-S-H. That's when it's hitting the top and stopping. That's what's going to make your note sharp. And starting and stopping, and then you don't want to just jump into it and go as fast as you can. Stay basic, guys. Get your reed to break over. And once you understand where that reed breaks over, and you get the feel for your call, and your muscle memory starts working, then you work on getting it sharper and a little shorter, a little bit more snappy. But from the basics, tongue down. Okay? It sounds sloppy, and it's going to sound sloppy at first, especially if you're just a beginner. But you understand what I'm saying. Your tongue's like, and your tongue just goes like this, arches up and forward, but the tip doesn't move. I think what a lot of guys have talked about in other instructionals before, they talk about tip your tongue moving, but I think they're thinking this, they're considering the whole front part of your tongue the tip. The tip is this. Right there, the part you stick out and touch, that's tip your tongue. That is an anchor point, always. That stays down. Then you start arching your tongue up. I don't know if you can tell, but you can kind of see in my mouth, my tongue has a little cup in it almost. Probably hard to tell. It almost kind of gets a little cup in it. I'm a horrible artist, but there's a little cup in your tongue right here, okay? And that's, I kind of explained it yesterday. If you've heard people talking about or whistling to their dog or something, you know, whistling like that, that's the position you want your tongue to be in. You present and you make an air cavity right here. This is everything right here, guys. I'm telling you right now, everything in learning a short reed, getting your notes sharp and consistent is right here. This area right here, that's your air cavity, all right? So, if you guys need to stop this, pause this, whatever, you can do that. Get the basic cluck down, learn where it's coming from, understand your call, so you can pick it up every time. Okay, that's a cluck. And we're going to move on now to different variations of the cluck. Tomorrow we're going to cover the honk. A honk is basically a elongated cluck. So we'll cover that tomorrow. But I think the cluck is by far the most important note there is. Clucks and moans, you can do those. You kill any goose you want. I guarantee it. But you have to sound goosey. You have to sound crisp and clear. You can't be sloppy. You can't sound like everybody else. You got to sound like a goose. And so you want clear, not clear, but guttural, clean notes is what I'm talking about. You don't want scratchy. You don't want things like that. That's sloppy. That's not good air control. You're going to learn muscle memory, air control, keeping it. Back of the call, it's. Okay? You can tell when my tongue hits my soft palate, it's it. That's it. That makes the note crack and stay sharp because the air stops. You don't want your air to keep pushing through. And talk about hand position for a cluck. You don't really need a hand at all. If your mouth cavity is correct, what your hand's going to do is enable you to get lower and a little goosier. And your offhand will enable you to throw it back and around and kind of move the sound around. But a lot, like I was telling you guys yesterday, hand positioning, I think is, guys take it a little too serious. You know, if you can just hold on to this call and just create a nice place for the sound to come out, don't ever close it down. That's the worst part. I'd rather you blow it wide open than close it down because you can't let the sound come out. You can't do that. You got to open it up and let the sound come out. Here's what mine looks like. I can take my finger and stick it in there. And if I want to go higher, I'm going to push a little more air and open my hand up. And you can see that's not a lot. When I say open my hand up, it's just going a little bit, and I'm pushing a little more air. So you can go a little louder, get more power with that. So, here's a couple examples of a fast cluck. Generally, when a Canada goose is clucking faster, as you heard in that last audio, when it's clucking faster, it's going to be higher pitched. It's going to have a higher crack to it. When it's lower, or when it's clucking slower, it's going to be a lower pitch. For example, I'll grab a Mr. Big for a little higher pitch sound. Those are all clucks. High-pitched cluck and a low-pitched cluck. All right, let's see. I'm getting ready to turn around here and see if we have any questions so far. Basically, I mean, the cluck is, you gotta get one note at a time. Don't try to go fast, and like I said, you can't run before you walk. And you have to get the buzz, you have to have air control and muscle memory each time, or you can just pick the call up. You want it to be a no-brainer, where you don't have to think about, okay, here's my hand, here's my lips, okay. Right now, you might be at that point. You have to pay attention to what you're doing, put the call up there. Okay, but eventually honestly, I just want you guys to be able to pick up a call and just go. That means your mouth cavity is correct, your tongue's in the right position, your tip is down, you have a good anchor point, and you understand when your reed breaks over. Okay? So again, that is the cluck. It's the basis for everything. It's going to kill geese day in and day out. If that's all you can master, getting a sharp, goosey cluck, you kill all the geese you want to kill. A lot of guys I've seen get to where they learn all these fancy notes. I'm not saying geese don't do it. Geese have a huge vocabulary like we talked about yesterday. But mainly when you're hunting, you're the bird on the ground. You're trying to replicate that bird on the ground. And the birds on the ground aren't super vocal and super crazy to the birds in the air that are coming in. Usually when the birds on the ground are vocal, it's to each other and they're quarreling back and forth. So if you could just do sharp clucks and maybe your buddy could do a low cluck, man, you can kill all the geese you want to kill. Master the cluck, get good at high pitch, low pitch, fast and slow, and then later on next week I'm going to cover putting those together, adding like a high pitch and a low pitch cluck together, making a double cluck. There's a lot of things you can do, but get this cluck. This is the most important thing ever. You can walk up, pick the call up, no hands, every time. So one more time from the basics. Lips touching the call, picking it up. Don't care how you hold it. I'm going to hold it like this to show you guys it's not how you hold the call necessarily. It's right here. It's your air cavity. It's your mouth. It's your tongue placement. Okay? Call's up. Tongue's flat. Anchor down. Got that buzz, right? To make it the reed break, you push tongue forward a little bit more, and it touches the roof of your mouth. Once you have that, start using your voice. Add your voice into it. Okay, that's a basic cluck. You're going to kill as many geese as you ever want to kill with that. So here's a cluck real quick before I start doing Q&A. Here's the next generation Bicahuna that I've been doing. Here's low pitch, and here's goose tempo and goose rhythm. Yeah, here's a Mr. Big, higher pitch, next gen Mr. Big. Each time, same thing in Mr. Big. Doesn't matter what call it is. You can operate it. I don't know what the heck's inside of that thing, but with no hand. For that, it doesn't necessarily sound as goosey because your hand's not there. It's a little bit high pitched and flat. But here is the notorious BIG Half-Blood. It's going to be kind of right in between Big Kahuna and the Mr. Big. Back to the call. Okay, practice that. Get that cluck breaking over every time. Get it sharp. I'm going to turn the camera around now so I can see what's going on with everybody. If I can do it here. Ow, I just smashed my finger. That was fun. It's upside down. Okay. There we go. All right. Let's do a little Q&A here. Yes, everything's going to be kind of backwards now. Yesterday, when I was recording, I went back and watched it and realized that everything's backwards. The words are backwards. So tonight I did a little bit different, so we could get a little bit better video quality. Let's see what we got on here. A real slow goose on the ground. Alright. I do the syllable of yaw to do the moan. Yeah, we're going to cover the moan later on. I'm not going to cover that right now. Richard, good, man. I'm glad it's working for you. Like I told you guys, all this is going to be on... Everything's going to be on our YouTube channel as well. I know I said that yesterday, but I don't know if all you guys were on here yesterday, but all this is going to be on our YouTube channel as well. What's up, Mike? Yeah, the problem is, guys, using words. I'm just going to scroll back up. If there's any other questions, just type them out now. But the problem with using words, to enunciate a word like the old school days, talking about flute calling, they'd use the word who-wit and to-wit. And in order to actually say that T word, the tip of your tongue has to come up. When you're operating a short reed goose call, you want the tip of your tongue, like I've told you, to stay anchored, right? Excuse me, it's got to stay anchored. It's got to stay on that point. What's up, Brian? So it's really hard to teach with words. And the word I have is not a word. It's you. I spelled it U-U-T-S-H. Ooch, ooch, ooch. And it might sound stupid into the phone, but you get the point. It's your tongue is ish, 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 ish. No, it sounds no. I'm not mentally handicapped, but ish, 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 ish. Excuse me. So you can kind of understand it's really hard to use words. All right, what do we got? Anything on here? A couple guys on here. What's up, guys? What's up, Charles? How far are you going? Yesterday was our first one. Yesterday was all about... you can go back and watch it on our YouTube. I think I might redo it because the quality wasn't that good. But yesterday was the basics on tongue placement. This thing right here, covering this diagram a lot, so you can see how the tongue is in your mouth, how it's supposed to be, rather. And holding the call, bringing the air up from your diaphragm, like you guys have all heard before. Very basic things a lot of you guys have already heard before. So it's bringing your air up from your diaphragm all the way up through here. Okay, and it's into the call. Guys have compared it to fogging up their sunglasses to clean them. Okay, or fogging up a mirror, whatever. It doesn't matter what you compare it to, but you're bringing the air up from your diaphragm. The misconception a lot of guys, I think most guys have had with short reeds, is moving the tip of their tongue. Like I told you yesterday, guys I've learned from Fred Zink, Tim Grounds, I mean, they all teach the way I'm teaching you guys to keep the tip of your tongue anchored. I mean, you got to have an anchor point for that tongue. All right. So, yeah, yesterday was very basic, trying to get you guys to get the buzz. Once you have that buzz, you have that buzz, then you know your tongue placement's correct and your air cavity right up front here, that's about where it needs to be. So you get the buzz, then the cluck, you just go, oh. Okay, you just move your tongue forward a little bit more. I'm talking minute, a little bit more, and let it touch the top of your soft, or the bottom of your soft palate right there. In the back of the call. Keeps coming out my hole here. can see the sealer on the call. There's no air getting around it. Cheeks are in tight. The pressure's coming up from the chest. None of this crap. Most guys that come to us at a show and they pick a call up, like, oh, I can't blow a short reed. I can instantly tell that their tip of their tongue is moving. I can tell by their jaw movement more than anything. You can see this jaw movement. That means the tip of your tongue's moving, your whole jaw's moving, so it's not going to operate correctly. It should be still, tight, bring the air up, and the only thing that's going on is right here. That is all that's going on right there. Yeesh, 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 yeesh. Okay. Let's see. Thanks for doing this. I've been trying to get... Okay, yep. I mean, it's really basic, guys, Bruce. I mean, it's repetition over and over. It's like training a dog or whatever. You have to do it over and over. But if you're practicing incorrectly and your mouth cavity is not right, it doesn't matter how much you practice, you're never going to get it because your fundamentals aren't right. You have to have the right base, the right foundation in order to start getting these notes sharp and clean to make them actually sound like a Canada goose. And later on here, we're going to cover actually sounding like a goose, having the pitch, the goose rhythm. But right now, we're not quite to that point. I just want you guys to break the reed over and understand the breaking point for the reed and keeping your tongue in the right place and working on this air cavity right here. There's hope for me. Yeah, James, there's always hope, bud. What's up, Glenn? I've missed another one up here. I see now I need another call. Hey, bud, you always need calls. You know, and that's what I kind of want to show you guys, too. I mean, a cluck is a cluck. But on each call, it's going to sound a little different. Some can be higher pitched, like I showed you on the Mr. Big. It's going to be a little higher pitched. I think probably my favorite might be the Notorious B.I.G. Half-Blood. It's just got the right snap to it. I mean, it sounds goosey. Of course, it's the red, white, and blue guts in it, so it's super thin shaved reed. But man, it's straight up goose. Or the deep, I don't know what it sounds like on the phone. Remember, we're doing all this live, no fancy editing, no special speakers. It's coming off my Chinese-made Samsung phone, so it might not sound as good, but I can guarantee in real life, you guys ever heard these things, or at a show, if you hear us blow these next gens, they're unreal. When do you actually blow a Canadian goose call? Yeah, and that'll probably be our next series, Corey. But blowing a duck call, he's talking about with your mouth cavity, tongue placement. It's the same. It's the same. Most guys that can blow a goose call real well can blow a duck call. I mean, they can crank on a duck call, they can blow a duck call because the fundamentals are the same. The air is a little bit different, the pressure is a little bit different on the air, but yeah, it's basically the same thing. Double cluck, we're going to work on that, Nick. That's going to come... Oh, that's not going to come till next week, I don't think. Yep, that'll come next week. Right now, get the basics down, get your buzz, get those solid, clean clucks. Make sure they're sharp, the air's cut off, and the tip of your tongue doesn't move. Okay, you don't want this thing moving up and down. You want it anchored right there. Just let the air come over the top. It's like I have right here. The air's coming over the top of your tongue, between your tongue and your soft palate. Let the air come over, and everything's going on toward the front part of your tongue. That's where your tongue's touching your soft palate, and the air is cutting off. So then all your right here's the call. Obviously, well, you can't quite see it there, but here. Well, can I move it? No, you guys saw it earlier. But anyway, so you're pushing the air into the call. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Don't blow it. Don't try to sound like a party horn. We want you guys to help me out, Sean. I got this thing in front here. Help me out. I have a big kahuna next honor. Let's say for a second call. Glenn, you've got like every call we have, don't you? BK ordered. Yeah, you've got a blue one ordered. I thought you got a Mr. Big 2, or you got a next gen Mr. Big as well, I thought. Or did you sell that one? I would say if you had, well, I mean, so you have the next generation Big Kahuna. It's got to be deeper, hollow, very goosey. The next step up would be the notorious BIG Half-Blood. It's kind of right in between the two, but it's got an acrylic mouthpiece. And then you're going to have the Mr. Big. It's going to be a little bit higher pitch, faster. I don't know. What do I have in my lanyard? All three. I got a Half-Blood. I got this red Mr. Big that I've had on there for like 2-3 years. It looks like garbage. Then my favorite is still the next gen Big Kahuna. That's my favorite call. You guys watch on some of our hunting videos on YouTube. It sounds goosey. It kills geese. It's got that certain pitch to it. Very, very goosey sound. So, any more questions? Is Brennan on here? Or Cody on here? Anybody else on here? That is a cluck for you guys. Okay, we got that one. Same principle. Yes. It is simple. Chip, how's it going, buddy? If you were targeting lessers, which of your call would you use? Mr. Big, just because it's going to be higher pitch. It's still not quite a lesser call. It's just a high pitch honker call. But yeah, if you're going to pick one, definitely the Mr. Big. It's going to be higher pitch. If you want something loud and higher pitch, go with like an acrylic version of the Mr. Big. You can get plenty loud with this, but with lessers, you want some more volume, so maybe you want to go with that. I don't use acrylic at all anymore. It's just irrelevant to me. Everything I have is a next-gen material because I'm not dealing with crap breaking. I'm just tired of it. And I haven't had any problems being loud enough or getting birds' attention with the next-gen material. So, but here's fast clucks, rapid clucks on the Mr. Big and next-gen. I think that'll probably kill all the lessers you probably need to kill. I mean, it sounds great to me. When you got your mouth cavity right, that tongue forward, you're making this air cavity small, you're going to get that buzz like I've been covering. And once you get that buzz, that's a little bit of that lesser buzz, and then you can just open your hands and crank on it and get that real high pitch. I think it'd probably work all right. How many nights a week do you this? Every night, Monday through Friday, right now. Ever had problems with the next gen's dry rotting? No. Had this one's number 1. It's been on my lanyard since I started making it. Probably hard to tell. It's a pretty rough shape. I'm not real easy on my stuff, and no problem. You can't hurt that stuff. Never heard of them dry rotting. I've never heard of them breaking. No, they're just indestructible. That's the cool part about them. If anything ever does happen to them, the only thing I know, you can melt them if you burn them, like put a torch to them, it'll melt. It's rubber. Or if you take like a razor knife to them and cut them in the right spot, you can cut through them. But If you do that, obviously that's not normal wear and tear for hunting. Compared to an acrylic call or wooden call, I mean, it's hands down. Acrylic, it sucks. It breaks, it cracks. I mean, it's cool. It comes in a lot of colors, but this is not the direction we're going. I want eventually all my calls to be next-gen material, the BIG Real Tough material. It's the way of the future. It sounds better. It holds up better. It's more comfortable, I think, holding it and blowing it too. So, all right, we're going to get off here, guys. I can't tell what time it is, but yeah, we're going to get off here. Tomorrow we're going to go over, let's see, check my little notepad here. Tomorrow we're going to go over a honk, right? Tomorrow might be a little shorter because a honk is just elongated cluck. What we learned today, but you're going to stretch it out a little bit more. So tomorrow we're going to cover the honk and some different variations of the honk. So, again, get the buzz, get the cluck, and then make it sharp. You don't want to move on and do other things until you have those things correct. If you don't have the buzz, you don't have this, your tongue's not in the right place, all right? Some calls are easier to get the buzz on than others. A broken in set of guts with a thin reed is easier to get that buzz with. But you should be able to get a buzz on about any call you have. So therefore, get the buzz, your fundamental, your bass. Then you start using your voice into it. Then you're going to break it over and get that cluck. Okay, basics. Get it clean, get it sharp, get it where you can just walk over, pick the call up. Okay. Okay. It's going to be muscle memory. You want to get it to where it's the same every time, and you can do it consistently. Go slow, walk before you jog, and jog before you run. So take it slow. Basic steps, baby steps. Get the call to break over, learn your call. All right, I'm going to get off here. You guys got a lot of questions, but we're going to cover more detailed stuff as we go on. We're going to cover the spit note. We're going to cover the moans. We're going to cover different species. We're going to cover different hunting conditions, a lot of stuff. This is going to go every day, Monday through Friday, until somebody dies or I lose my phone or something. So, all right, guys, have a good night. Peace with chicken grease. Peace and love. And this will be up on YouTube later if you guys want to watch it again. Or, of course, it's always going to be here on our Facebook channel. I'm out. Peace out, boys.